Hi there, I'm Chris Devine, and this is Six String World. As my close musician friends will know, I like chorus a lot. Like, you may need an intervention amount of chorus. I blame my fascination with Rush's Alex Lifeson sound as an impressionable teenager. My first experience was with the DoD stereo chorus pedal. I only heard it in mono because back then, in my teenage years, no one really could afford 2 amps for true stereo, but I still liked it. And since then, I've had choruses from different types of sources, whether it's been pedals or rack systems and some even stereo chorus amps that I really love to have. And sometimes I do miss them. I ended up with this Boss CE-2 through a trade from my cousin. I swapped him a vintage Rat pedal for this, and I don't know who got the better deal, but I know I'm happy with it. My cousin got this in the late 80s, early 90s, when players were switching to rack systems and more digital units that were pedals. This was forgotten at the local music store while players just skipped over it for more modern units. It's been mine for years now, and while it's not currently on my pedal board, I don't see this leaving my collection ever. It's probably the only piece of vintage gear I own. Now, it's a made in Taiwan version, not one of the more sought after Japanese versions, but I'm fine with that. This is kind of the chorus I always wanted. It's simple with just rate and depth knobs, a mono signal path as well. I usually have it set with the rate really low and the depth really high, just for a touch of that modulation that stays clear of warbly out of tuneness. On clean guitars with a touch of reverb and a touch of delay, it's perfect. These days I don't often use modulation on distorted guitars, but when I do kick it in with some overdrive, what you get is a bigger spread with just a bit of edge that cuts through the mix. Now, I've gigged with this pedal, which is why it's all scratched up and naturally relicked. When I got it, it was a bit noisy and dirty sounding, and it seemed to be a bit inconsistent at times. But I really loved the overall effect, and I held on to it, and it stayed on my pedal board. Back in 2007, I sent this off to Robert Keeley to get their Speedy mod. Now, Robert Keeley Effects does not do any mods these days, so I am more than happy I had it done when that was still an option. But what they did do for this pedal is they replaced any leaking caps and any other components that might be out of spec, as well as an internal trim pot for added rate adjustment. They also replaced the red LED with a blue one. These mods did the trick. It really cleaned up the signal overall with much better clarity and a richer overall effect. This is also the chorus that so many pedal companies try to copy. Even Boss got in on the bandwagon, releasing a Wazacraft version with stereo outputs and a selectable CE-1 mode. I haven't had any experience with that version, but if Boss is going to go back to the archives, they're certainly going to make the trip worthwhile. So for players that want to try out a classic chorus, the Wazacraft version may be the way to go without having to spend a ton of cash and have to deal with some basket case pedal that they may have to sort out on their hands, rather than just say, oh, I've got a cool pedal, but it doesn't sound good. So that might be the way to go. But like I said previously, I won't be parting with this ever. But this is about as close to hoarding as I get. Right now I get my modulation effects from my Boss MS3, and of course the settings I use are based off of this pedal. But there's nothing that beats the real thing. And this is kind of the gold standard for classic chorus, for me at least. Now, how about you guys? Do you happen to have a chorus pedal that you prefer? If so, what is it and why? Please leave a comment in the space below. If you like this channel, please hit subscribe, and the bell icon will let you know when I put up a new video. And if you like this video, click the thumbs up button. And if you want to share it, well, there's a button for that as well. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you soon. Take care.